This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Okay, Bruchim Abam, welcome everyone. This morning we're going to talk about the topic on everybody's mind, namely the weather forecast for tonight, the first night of Sukkos. So now, I woke up this morning and I did something I never do. I drove to shul. I don't like to drive to shul. I like to walk to shul. Because, I have my seder, the things that I like to, the way I like to prepare for Shachris. But it was pouring. But I drove to shul a few blocks away. I parked my car. You can't park right on the corner because it's not safe. It's not allowed. It's not legal to park right on the corner. So I parked the next spot over. Middle of davening, I hear the rain is coming down, it's coming down, it's coming down. I look out the window, the entire peninsula looks like the Mississippi River. There was flash flooding. I said, what's with my car? Miraculously, the water went up to my car. Some people were not as fortunate. So I'm very grateful to the Ribbon Shalom that my car was not damaged. However, during the night, my sukkah collapsed. At least the beams, schach, the lighting tore. So right now I don't have a sukkah, but hopefully after the Shiur, in the Sukkos of learning about the rain, so then we'll be able to get it back together. Okay, bottom line is, with that intro, you're getting a little bit of a picture that we're due for some serious weather. The good news is, we spoke out last night, that it's not a siman klala. It's only a siman klala if it's a beautiful day, and as you're about to get into the sukkah, then it rains, then you know the Almighty doesn't want your service. But if it's raining a few days before, and it continues raining, the Bikurei Yaakov says, Siman Tafresh Lamates, Siv Katan Lamates, not a siman klala. The Mishmer Shalom says it's only a siman klala in Eretz Yisrael where it doesn't usually rain. So, if it rains on Sukkot, it's a siman klala. In America, it can rain any day of the year. But let's talk about bottom line. What do you do if it rains? Now, typically, Rabbi say, in the rain, you're pater from the sukkah. Why are you pater from the sukkah? Because mitztayer is pater from sukkah. Okay, that's a special din, a din that's unique to Sukkos, to the mitzvah of sukkah. Mitztayer is pater. However, the first night might be different. Meaning, if it rains any other night of Sukkos, besides the first night, and we'll see the second night may be similar to the first night because of sake of the Yoma. But typically, if it rains during Sukkos, you move inside. But you have a special issue the first night of Sukkos. Namely what? That maybe the first night of Sukkos, a mitztayer is chayev. Why would mitztayer be chayev? Why would mitztayer be chayev the first night? The answer is, because there's a famous Gzeira Shava, Tesvav. It says Chamisha Asar by the first night of Pesach. It says Chamisha Asar by the first night of Sukkos. So we compare eating in the sukkah to eating matzah. The same way the first night of Pesach you have to eat a kazayis of matzah. The first night of Sukkos you must eat a kazayis in the sukkah. And the same way the first night of Pesach you must eat matzah. You can't say, I'm not really in the mood of matzah. I want to eat potato chips. No, you gotta positively eat the matzah. The rest of the Yom Tif, if you don't want to eat chametz, if you don't want to eat matzah, you don't have to eat matzah. The first night you have to eat matzah. So we say, likewise, the first night of Sukkos, you must eat a kazayis. You must eat in the sukkah. Many Rishonim hold. I want to tell you who they are. The Rishonim are the Rosh and Brachos Perek Zayin, Hagoy Sashri, the Chumash Hadeshen, the Orchos Chaim, the Meiri, the Chachmei Lunel, the Ran, Tosis Rabbeinu Paris, the Maril, the Ritva, Rabbeinu Manoach, and the Tur. They hold that this Gezerah Shava, Tesvav, requires that you must eat in the Sukkah, the first night of Sukkos, even if you're Mitztayer. Even though mitztaer pater min asukah, that's the rest of Sukkos. The Gzeira Shava of Tesvav teaches me, just like you got to eat the kazayis of matzah the first night of Pesach, you have to eat a kazayis in the sukkah the first night of Sukkos, no matter what. It could be raining, it could be pouring, you could be snoring, all of the above, you must eat in the sukkah. That is the shita of many Rishonim. According to these Rishonim, even though it's pouring, even though there's a flood advisory, even though, you look in your backyard and, the whole house is floating away, nevertheless, mitzdayer is chayev, according to these Rishonim, and you're going to have to go out, according to these Rishonim, eat a kazayis in the sukkah. Well, first you're going to make kiddush in the sukkah. And say people want to know, what about Oshpizin? We have no guarantee Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov come in the rain. That we don't know about. What we do know is that you got to go out in the rain. That according to these Rishonim, okay? Don't ask about the Oshpizin. There's no time for that. Okay? The Iker is, tonight we have to worry about the mitzvah. The mitzvah, according to these Rishonim, you're chayev. Now, according to them, you need to make a bracha of leishe b'sukkah, okay? I'm not saying you should do that, I'm just pointing out, according to these Rishonim, you would be required to make a bracha of leishev b'sukkah. However, many Rishonim disagree, and I want to tell you who they are. The Rashba is in the Chuvas, Siman Ayin Ches, the Ravid, Tosfos and Brachas, and the Gruss says this is the Iker Shita. The Mitzdayer is pater from the Sukkah even the first night. Tesvav Gzer Shava. No. You can't. You're going to make Tesvav for everything? You're going to say you have to eat charoisas in the Sukkah? You're going to say you have to steal the afikoymin in the Sukkah? You're going to say you have to drink dalit koisos in the Sukkah? I mean, enough with the Tesvav. All Tesvav teaches me is that you have to eat a kazayas in the Sukkah, and it has to be at night. But don't go so far to say that even mitzdayer is chayiv. This is the shita of many Rishonim. The Gruss says this is the Iker shita. So be'ikr we hold your pater from the sukkah if it rains. But ilamaisa it's a machlokas Rishonim, and it's a safek da'iraisa. So what do? Comes a Mishnah Berurah. Mishnah Berurah says many achronim say they are prima gadim, der chachayim, noid behuda, the Beis Meir, the Chai Adam, is that you're mechuyev to go out into the sukkah misafek. You're mechuyev because some Rishonim say mitzvah is chayiv the first night, but you can't make a bracha of leishe b'sukkah because some Rishonim say you're pater. So the bottom line is, what are you going to do? You're going to go out in the rain, and you're going to make kiddush without a leishe b'sukkah. Fine. So go out in the rain, you're not going to make a bracha. Should I go out right away? Next topic. In other words, the bottom line is, I'm going to go out, but I'm not going to make a bracha. I'm going to go out in deference to those Rishonim who say mitzvah is chayiv the first night. I'm not going to make a bracha in deference to the Rishonim who say mitzvah is pater. But should I do this right away? So the Mishnah Berurah brings two opinions. Opinion number one is, you got to wait, because it might stop raining. How long should you wait? Till midnight. Why not beyond midnight? Because l'chatchila, just like the matzah is supposed to be eaten before midnight, l'chatchila you got to eat in the sukkah before midnight. So you're going to wait till midnight. Why? Because if it stops raining, then you can make a leisha b'sukkah, and you'll be yotzei l'kulei alma. Okay, so that's shita number one. That's the most machmer shita. So if you want to come to shul tomorrow morning and be able to, there are people like this, many people like this. They want to be able to come to shul and say, like they did it the perfect way, the ideal way. So if you're that guy, you're the guy who comes in, and somebody says, when did you finish the Seder? What do you mean? I just finished 8:58, and I'm lucky I made it to Shachris on time. If you're the guy who you like to show everyone that you do everything perfectly, so tonight you're going to wait till midnight. Okay, you may have disrupted, your family life, but if you want to do the mitzvah of sukkah right, that's the best thing to do. That's shita number one. This is the opinion of Chai Adam, Pri Megadim, Noid Behuda, Beis Meir. However, some achronim say, don't wait so long. Because if you're going to wait, and you're going to keep your family waiting until midnight, your wife's been slaving away since Matzah Yom Kippur, cooking, cleaning, the kids are hungry, they're cranky, Ein lecha menias simchas yom tov yoser mizeh. And therefore, according to these opinions, wait an hour or two. hour or two. An hour or two, okay? More than that is torture. Even an hour or two, not so easy, not so comfortable. But the second opinion is wait an hour to 2 hours. Why? Otherwise you're torturing the people. Okay, these are the two deos. Comes the Sha'ar Tzion, and the Sha'ar Tzion throws in, now, but what if, one second, what's going on here? I'm going to have to take a... Okay, but now there is one more factor over here. This is the factor that the Sha'ar Tzion brings in, and sorry for the interruption. Actually, we had flooding in the basement, and it interrupted our connection. Comes the Sha'ar Tzion, and the Sha'ar Tzion says, okay, we have these two opinions. First opinion is, wait until midnight. Second opinion is, wait an hour or two. But says the Sha'ar Tzion, what if you're distressed because of hunger, or you're distressed because of tiredness by waiting, especially if you have poor guests who haven't eaten the whole day and they're starving? Says the Sha'ar Tzion, do not wait. You should not wait. Why? Mima nefshach. If mitzvah is chayiv, so I could go into the sukkah, make kiddush, and I'm yotzei. And if mitzvah is pater, then I'm allowed to eat. I'm allowed to eat now. I don't even have to be eating in the sukkah. And the Sha'ar Tzion adds, it could be that regarding aniyim, if you're going to hold them back from eating, and they're not mechuyev to fulfill all the opinions, so there's a chashash of delaying giving them tzedakah, there's a chashash of bal ta'achar. Now, so we have these three opinions. Opinion number one is wait till chatzos. Opinion number two is wait an hour or two. Opinion number three is eat immediately if you're distressed or you have poor guests. Now, according to, this is the third opinion again, the opinion of the Sha'ar Tzion, that if you personally are distressed because of hunger or tiredness, or you have poor guests, then under these circumstances, the halacha is you should not wait at all. Now, before we come to any type of conclusion, let's discuss the following question. Why should you wait at all? Why shouldn't you say, go straight into the house, make kiddush, go straight into the sukkah, make kiddush, and say shachianu, eat the whole suda. In other words, why isn't there a simple solution over here? Why go into the sukkah right away? If you go into the sukkah right away, you may have to come in again if the rain stops. So we have a very simple solution, says the Mishnah Berurah. Start right away, in your house, eat the meal, make a shachianu, eat the whole meal, and at the end of the meal, if it stopped raining, great, have the suda in the sukkah, and if it didn't stop raining, have a kazais in the sukkah anyway. What's this waiting business? What is accomplished by waiting? What is gained by waiting? See, this is a very important question. What are we gaining by waiting? So the Mishnah Berurah says something very interesting. What you gain is that if you start the meal right away and you make a shachianu, that shachianu is only going on the Yom Tov. It's not going on the sukkah, because you're not sitting in the sukkah. If it stops raining and you have to go back into the sukkah, you're going to have to make a second shachianu. And you're going to be marbe bevrachos for no reason. It's not correct to do that. So the whole reason to wait is predicated on the idea that if you don't wait and it stops raining, you're going to be making a second shachianu. So therefore, what we tell you is, first make kiddush in the sukkah. This way it's going on the Yom Tif and on the sukkah. How's it going on the sukkah? You're not yotzi the mitzvah of sukkah. Well, it's not worse than if you made a shachianu on the sukkah before Sukkos, and then if it stops raining, then you go back in. So this is very interesting to me. I'm going to share with you a question on the Mishnah Berurah that I don't really understand, and that is why, if the whole reason to wait is because if I make a shachianu right away in the house, I'm going to have to make another shachianu in the sukkah if it stops raining. Why can't I make kiddush in the house, make a shachianu on the Yom Tov, and have in mind it's going on the sukkah? but I can't sit in the sukkah right now. The same way I could make a shechianu on Erev Yom Tif on the Asiyas HaSukkah, why can't I make a shechianu on the sukkah on Yom Tif, even though right now it's raining? So that's sort of a question on the Mishnah Berurah. And these are the three opinions that the Mishnah Berurah gives. Again, number one, you wait till Chatzos. If at that point it doesn't stop raining, you eat a kazayis in the sukkah, you have in mind to finish the meal in the house, and you go back inside. Number two, you wait an hour or two, because to wait till Chatzos is torturous to the people. And the third opinion, the Mishnah Berurah brings in the Sha'ar Tzion, is not to wait at all, especially if you're distressed, you're tired, people are extremely cranky, or you have poor guests. So the bottom line is, what should a person do? So it depends. If somebody has guests that are definitely aniyim, they're not to wait at all. Not permitted to wait. Because these aniyim you're not required to place any chumras on these guests, so you can't make them wait. Again, this is not talking about family, but somebody who would qualify as an ani that you have to give tzedakah to. By the way, it could apply to family as well. If somebody has guests that they're not self-sufficient, and you're sort of guesting them, you're hosting them as a form of tzedakah mebesarcha al tasalim, you can't make them wait either. They don't have to suffer more because you happen to be related to them. So again, if somebody has poor guests, you don't wait at all. If somebody's just dealing with family, if everybody in your family is learning in Eretz Yisrael, from your 2-year-old to your 23-year-old, and they all want to be machmer on every dikdik b'halacha, and they're comfortable waiting till Chatzos, go for it. In most cases, probably most family members will not be comfortable waiting till Chatzos, and admit it, neither will you be. In that case, probably the most reasonable approach is to wait an hour to two, and at that point the comfort levels are depleted, and then you go into the sukkah, you make a shechianu on the Yom Tif, you eat a kazayis in the sukkah, you don't make a leishev, you have in mind to continue the Suda back inside. If it then stops raining before Chatzos, before you get into bed, you go back out, and now you need to eat more than a kabeya in the sukkah. Why? Because the only reason you're able to get away with the kazayis is the first eating of Sukkos, only less is required because we learn it out from Pesach. But since, if you've already eaten in the sukkah, and now it stops raining and you're going back inside, you may have already been yotzei. Now, to go back into the sukkah, you have to eat a little bit more than a kabeya. This, the Mishnah Berurah says, is all night number one. Night number two, then you're not dealing with the potential issue of, well, if I make kiddush in my house and it stops raining, I'm going to have to make another shechianu. There's not another shechianu to make on the making of the sukkah the second night. So the second night, you could start off right away and be mekadesh in your house. However, l'chadchila, the Mishnah Berurah says, it's correct to wait a little bit the second night as well. How much is a little bit? Doesn't say. Maybe 30 minutes. It's not clear. I want to throw in one more factor. Again, we said there are three opinions. Opinion number one, you wait till Chatzos. Opinion number two, an hour or two. And then if you have poor guests or family members that are very cranky, then you make kiddush right away. Some poskim hold that the whole inyan of waiting is when it's possible the rain will stop. But if the forecast is the rain is not going to stop, then you have more to rely on to make the kiddush faster. Because really, the reason you're waiting is to avoid the second shechianu if it stops raining. If 90% it's going to continue to rain, and that's what they forecast, obviously they're not, they're Nevi'im Shikarim, but in all likelihood, it probably won't stop raining. It's more reasonable to say all the poskim are talking about when you don't have a specific forecast. When you have a specific forecast, it's not supposed to stop. There's definitely more to rely on to make kiddush right away. So your chatzos may come to an hour or two in such a situation, or your hour or two might turn into a half hour under these types of circumstances. This is the course of action according to the Mishnah Berurah. Sorry for the interruption, and I wish everyone Chag Kosher V'Sameach.
You've You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.